The top three things keeping your nervous system dysregulated are things that you're probably doing every single day. And the reason why this matters is because when your nervous system is dysregulated, everything is harder. You feel anxious, overwhelmed, more tired, and like you can never fully shut your brain off. Most people think that they need more tools to calm their nervous system, but what they actually need is to stop doing the things that constantly pull them into survival mode. I see this every day in my patients. I've worked with over thousands of people one-on-one, and the patterns are the same. Today, I'm breaking down the top three nervous system saboteurs I see most often, and once you see them, you will not be able to unsee them. And with that, let's dive right into it. The first one is constant stimulation through your phone. And with that being said, let's dive right into it. The first one is constant stimulation through your phone. This is a really big one, and a lot of us don't consciously realize the impact of us going on our phones all throughout the day, all day long. And what I want you to understand is that going on your phone does not count as a break. Your brain and body don't get nourished and refreshed, and your nervous system doesn't reset itself when you go on your phone. Instead, the exact opposite happens. When you go on your phone as a break all throughout the day, you're constantly keeping your brain in the on state. You're constantly keeping your brain stimulated. So going on your phone is not a break, and I don't want you to think of it as a break. As soon as you go on your phone, that constant stimulation essentially gives your brain more things to process. And the more that your brain has to process, the more that your nervous system is going to stay in the heightened state. And then depending on what content you're watching, like that can stimulate you even more. Like even if you're watching cat videos, like even that's going to stimulate you because again, it's going to be information that your brain essentially has to process. Mindless scrolling is hurting your nervous system and brain so much more than you know. I honestly see this all the time everywhere I go. So just recently I joined a new gym in my neighborhood and I've been loving it. And I was like, cool, I'm going to go to the sauna, make some new friends, chit chat some other girlies up. And I went to the sauna and everybody was on their phone. And I was just so shocked and surprised. And I'm just like, the sauna is supposed to be this like nice place where you can disconnect from everything and everybody, and everybody's on their phone. I didn't even know you could bring phones into the sauna. Okay. I thought your phone would like explode or something like that. But here we are with like 10 other people on their phone. And we can see this everywhere. You see people waiting in line at Starbucks. What are they doing? They're on their phone. You see people waiting at the doctor's office. What are they doing? They're all on their phones. Every single free moment we get in our day, what do? We go on our phone. And part of it is also our brains just wanting the easy dopamine hits, right? And you can literally start to get addicted to it. And I won't lie, I'm not perfect at this either. There have been moments during the day where I need to catch myself and stop looking at how many views and likes in my video get and just mindlessly going on social media just to get these dopamine hits. So it happens to us all. I think what the real big issue becomes is when we start to do this without awareness. So next time you go on your phone, I want you to remind yourself that this is not a true break for your nervous system and for your brain. Resting isn't just the absence of not doing work, okay? Resting is the absence of stimulation. So instead of going on your phone, if you have a few minutes, you're waiting for your doctor, don't go on your phone. Just sit and be. Look around the waiting room. Sit in silence. Just learn how to be in the present moment. Go strike up a conversation with the person next to you. If you're waiting in line at Starbucks, stop going on your phone. Learn to just be. Learn to not always have to do something and be watching something and to always be occupying yourself. And what starts to happen is that when you start using these micro moments during the day to no longer go on your phone and to actually use these moments to connect with yourself, these then all become micro moments where your nervous system has a chance to come down. What's happening with you right now is that this is your nervous system state. It's getting into the stress state. And instead of you actually using moments to bring your nervous system back down to the calm state, you're not doing that. What you're doing is you're keeping your nervous system more in the stimulated state. And when you go on your phone, it keeps your nervous system more in the stimulated state. So what you want to do instead is you notice your nervous system is in that stress state, don't go on your phone. Sit in silence, learn to just be, and that instead becomes a moment where your nervous system has a chance to come down, where your nervous system has a chance to just restore, rejuvenate, and feel better. If every free moment is filled with your phone, your nervous system never has a chance to downshift. Saboteur number 2 are unrealistic expectations. Most of us are constantly living in this internal state of urgency, not because there's actually something urgent outside of us happening, but because we've created this perception of all the things that we need to get done in a day. We've created this perception of these unrealistic standards that we've set for ourselves. And as a result of that, We feel like we can never take any downtime. We feel like we can never slow down because we need to get 100 things done in these next 8 hours. And if we don't get these 100 things done, it means that we are a failure. And it's like no wonder so many of us are living in this constant state of nervous system dysregulation because we are always rushing to get 100,000 things done all in one day. And we significantly overestimate the amount of things that we can actually get done in a day. How do I know this? Because I've spent most of my life living this way. And shifting this one thing has been the best thing that I've done for my nervous system state is just me having more realistic expectations of what I can actually do and accomplish in a day. I used to be the queen of putting 25 things on my list and then only being able to get 3 done because I had a million other meetings and things to do, or then something would just come and derail my day completely. And I had no flexibility in my schedule for that. So what would happen is like I would spend every single day and end every single day feeling like I wasn't good enough, feeling like I was a failure, and then I would repeat the cycle again. And it wasn't until I started to take my nervous system regulation work very seriously that I started to take a step back and I reset my expectations for myself. And so what I do now is I focus on prioritizing just one or two things, one or two of the most important things in a specific season of life. So for right now, this season of my life, my business, my mission is my number one priority. So that means that this is going to take all of my energy and everything else is going to get the rest of the energy that I have. If you always rush, if you're always just onto the next thing, onto the next thing, onto the next thing, then your nervous system forever stays stuck in the survival mode. Rushing and doing things fast is truly one of the worst things you can do for your nervous system state. And by no means do I mean now that you need to go at snail speed and do things really slowly. Of course not. I'm just saying what you need to do is you need to start finding moments during the day where you can slow down just a little bit. If that means you doing the dishes a little bit slower, you do that. If that means you showering a little bit slower, you do that. If that means you, instead of power walking like this, you walk a little bit slower, you do that. These all become moments where your nervous system has a chance to downshift. So it's not always about being in that slow, steady state, but it's not always about being in that rush state. It's about finding that balance with the two, right? When you notice yourself rushing too much, you're able to bring yourself back down. And for specific tasks, you're able to rush and bring yourself back up as you need to. But the key is to not stay in this rush, fast state all throughout the day. And really what the issue is that it's just not a great way of living because what ends up happening is that when you're always rushing, you feel guilty for resting. You always feel like you're never doing enough. And you just constantly feel behind. And that is just the worst way to live because when you're constantly in this state, your nervous system stays in that survival mode. You can't heal or regulate in a body that believes it's always running out of time. And now the official last saboteur is blood sugar dysregulation. So blood sugar highs and lows and swings with your blood sugars actually indicates stress to your body. So if your blood sugar is constantly going up and down, it's actually dysregulating your nervous system. It's keeping you more in the stress state. It's causing you to be anxious, tired, have brain fog. And what usually ends up happening is that if our blood sugar ever gets too high, what usually follows right after is a blood sugar crash with our blood sugar often getting too low. And when your blood sugar actually gets too low, your body increases the release of a hormone called cortisol, which is your stress hormone. It also increases adrenaline. And what happens with that is that it gets your blood sugar levels back up, but it also increases your stress. So when we constantly go through these highs and lows of blood sugar all day long, you're also going through these extreme highs and lows of stress all day long. And good luck ever regulating your nervous system if you're experiencing that. So some of the things you want to watch out for are skipping meals. And this doesn't mean you can't ever fast. I always tell my patients that when you're in an extremely dysregulated nervous system state, you want to ease and minimize how much you're dysregulating your nervous system. And once your nervous system gets into a healthy place, then by all means fast, do all the things that you need to do. But until you get to that state, what becomes really important is you don't skip your meals until your body's in a metabolically flexible and healthy place, until your nervous system is in a healthy place where it can actually withstand some of the skipping of meals. You also want to watch out for meals that are only coffee, okay? Coffee is not a meal. Coffee, if you have a dysregulated nervous system state, is probably only going to increase your stress more and dysregulate you more. And little side note, I can take a little Earl Grey tea sip break right now, but one of the best things that I ever did to support my nervous system state was to switch from drinking coffee to now drinking Earl Grey tea. And then occasionally I'll also have a matcha once in a while, but Oh my goodness, it has been a world of a difference. And the other thing too is that when you stop drinking coffee, it actually forces you to tune into the foods that you're actually eating and making sure you're eating nourishing foods, because now you don't have this huge burst of caffeine to actually rely on for energy. So you need to be eating right in order to support your body's energy. And then the other thing that will also dysregulate your blood sugar levels is if you have foods that are too high in sugars and carbohydrates and not high enough in protein and healthy fats. Because what happens when you have a food that's too high in sugar or carb, you get a big blood sugar spike and crash, and then that sets your nervous system up for dysregulation. So ideally, I always tell my patients 25, 30 grams of protein with your meals, have some form of healthy fats, and then have a nice serving of veggies. And if you can balance your meals out like that throughout the day, it's gonna be so nourishing and supportive for your nervous system state. So remember, you can't calm a nervous system that thinks it's starving. So just to end off, what I really wanna emphasize here is that nervous system regulation isn't just about adding more tools to your tool belt, it's also about removing the things that are constantly putting you in that stimulated state. And if you are constantly on your phone all day long, have unrealistic expectations about what you can actually accomplish in a day, and are constantly living in a state where your blood sugar is dysregulated, it is going to be very hard for you to have a healthy, regulated nervous system. You could be doing all the breathing techniques, cold showers, and whatever else other strategy you're doing, but if any of these things are off and not in place, you will not be able to have a healthy nervous system state. And if you want one-on-one support, go ahead and book a free 15-minute discovery call with me, and we can talk about what your nervous system reset and regulation plan looks like. And if you're loving this content, don't forget to check out my video where I'm going to be talking about what a healthy nervous system actually looks like, because everybody gets it wrong, and I don't want you to get it wrong.